All that in the next hour, and with us for the duration are the journalists Rachel Shabby and Tim Montgomery. Welcome to the show, both of you. So, in the latest twist in the will he won't he saga surrounding a visit to the UK by Donald Trump, the US president has confirmed he won't be going ahead with at least one trip planned for next month. The story was broken by the Daily Mail earlier today, which said that Mr. Trump had gone cold on plans to officially open the new US embassy in London. Mr. Trump confirmed the story himself this morning on, you guessed it, Twitter. He said, "The reason I cancelled my trip to London is that I am not a big fan of the Obama administration having sold perhaps the best located and finest embassy in London for peanuts, only to build a new one in an off location for $1.2 billion. Bad deal. Wanted me to cut ribbon? No." That's a reference to the fact that the US embassy is being moved from Mayfair in London to Battersea. Well, critics of the president have been welcoming the news, with the Labour Mayor of London, Sadiq Khan, saying many Londoners have made it clear that Donald Trump is not welcome here while he is pursuing such a divisive agenda. It seems he's finally got that message. But that response irked the Foreign Secretary Boris Johnson, who in turn tweeted, "The US is the biggest single investor in the UK, yet Khan and Corbyn seem determined to put this crucial relationship at risk. We will not allow US-UK relations to be endangered by some puffed-up, pompous popinjay in City Hall." So, Donald Trump dividing opinion here, as always, not just in the US. Are you relieved he's not coming to open the US embassy?
I am, and for once I think I might be closer to the Labour view on this than the Tory view. I think the US and the UK have a vital relationship, and it's incredibly important we invest in that relationship. But I think there comes a time, after so many outrageous remarks by Donald Trump, that we have to draw a line. And I think we can make a distinction between having a good relationship with the United States and having to honour a president who actually, contrary to your view about dividing opinion, I think he largely unites Britain. I think most British people do find nearly all of his views unacceptable.
Except for Boris Johnson, it seems, in that sense. So dividing at one point. But in terms of that relationship with the United States, would you still go as far as saying he shouldn't come on any sort of state visit or political visit?
I mean, he's obviously not welcome, is he? And I think what this has shown is the power of protest on the one hand, and also I think it's really heartening that the British public will look at someone like this misogynistic, racist president and say no, we're not having it. I think that shows a real moral clarity, and I wish our PM could demonstrate even an ounce of the same kind of moral clarity over Trump.
To be fair to her, when he retweeted those remarks from that far-right group, she absolutely made it. I think it's difficult.
That went over a line for her, but the line obviously came much before then for a lot of people.
Sure, but it is difficult for a sitting Prime Minister to be so difficult with our most important ally. So I think it's easier for us as commentators who are watching from outside to be morally sort of righteous, but actually for a Prime Minister who has to work on a daily basis on trade and security and so many other...
But of course other world leaders have to work with Trump as well, and they have been demonstrated much more.
But they've welcomed him. But they have welcomed him, though, Rachel, haven't they? They've welcomed him to France.
But they have not welcomed his comments, and they have been very unequivocal in criticising his comments in a way that she has not.
But, Rachel, do you think the state invitation should be withdrawn? Because that is not what Emily Thornberry has said.
I don't think he's welcome here. I mean...
So you would like Labour to stand up and say that invitation should be withdrawn. The Labour Party would like to see his visit stopped.
Well, Corbyn has said, hasn't he, that if he was PM when he came, then he would take him to a mosque and show, show Britain's brilliant diversity.
But why are the Labour Party not saying that invitation should be withdrawn?
I don't know why they're not saying that, but I personally think that he should not come.
There are a lot of double standards here. We have leaders from the Middle East where women aren't just, treated badly on Twitter by the head of state, but are treated badly in terms of a whole set of second-class rights. We have
I don't
the
think
Chinese
women are
leader
just being treated badly on Twitter by Trump. But anyway, that's by the by.
That might be true as well. And we have the Chinese leader here,
and
of course, who represses his own people in multiple ways. So there are a lot of double standards here from a lot of people in politics saying that Trump somehow is beyond the pale when other leaders are not.
I mean, that is the case. We have had leaders from countries that you and others would also say are against human rights. They're committing all sorts of abuses against their own people, and yet they still come on visits here.
Yeah, absolutely. I think there has always been a lot of hypocrisy in politics. There's no question over that.
Right. There's just an underlying anti-Americanism, I think, still on the left.
No, I don't think that's
that
what it
always
is.
will judge America more harshly and almost be enthused about judging America more harshly than judging other leaders in the world. That is dangerous.
That's not even true. I mean, you listen to the way the left talks about, for instance, Saudi officials and the British relationship with Saudi Arabia. I mean, that manifestly isn't true. But it is fine for the British public to have this adverse reaction to someone who is as divisive and as racist.
But why march against Trump and not against all these other leaders?
Well, I think people do march against all kinds of leaders.
They don't really, do they?
Tim, when it comes to the other comments that Donald Trump has made, this about immigrants, saying that immigrants from Africa and Haiti come from, I won't use the word, but come from not very good countries. Yeah. Again, does that push the tipping point further in terms of acceptability and whether the Prime Minister should intervene and say, again, these comments are not acceptable?
It's an extraordinary remark for a leader of a country that is made up of immigrants to be able to talk in those terms. And he said, why can't we have more people from Norway, apparently?
Yes.
But as someone was tweeting earlier, actually Norwegians, first settlers to America, also faced quite a lot of discrimination. So I'm afraid it's almost like there is no acceptable immigrant to Donald Trump. And that, I think, is why London has perhaps reacted so strongly to him, because London, too, is a city of immigrants. And for him to come here did offend potentially so many people.
Would you just like to hear Labour condemn Venezuela and Iran for the behaviour of the leaders there?
I mean, I just love the fact that that gets crowbarred into just about every conversation about Labour.
Well, I wouldn't want to disappoint. So do you think they should?
I really don't know.
Oh, come on.
No,
how can you be so clear on Trump and yet you have in Venezuela a leader supported by Jeremy Corbyn who is causing massive misery for his people?
Because there is a clarity over the politics of Trump that there isn't with the politics over Venezuela. Yeah.
And Iran? And Iran as well, because again, Labour was asked to, condemn the abuses that are carried out in Iran, and they haven't been clear on that either, or certainly not from Jeremy Corbyn.
Which abuses? The abuses over the protest?
Yes.
I mean, I think that the way that the regime has clamped down on the protests should be condemned. Yes.
All right.
But not in Venezuela.
Let's leave it there.